Welcome to class. Today we're gonna be talking about something that always happens, something you can't stop from happening, something that's actually happening right this second, and that's change. People either love it or hate it, but eventually you succumb to the fact that everything changes all the time. It's the only thing constant in the world that we know of. I've taken a couple of notes. And today we're going to dig up a quote from Jay-Z in his song titled Most Kings. He says,
People look at you strange saying you changed, like you worked that hard to stay the same, like you're doing all this for a reason.
that quote to me covers two things, an internal and an external. A person that's, first of all, in our culture, when you say somebody's changed, it's never a good thing. It's always, oh, you changed, you think you're better than us, oh, you changed, It's one of the reasons a lot of people get pulled back into the worlds that we try to leave. And it's one of the main lines that people say when they're either feeling abandoned, when they feel like you've outgrowing them, quote unquote. I believe this is the trigger to the crabs in the barrel situation. And yeah, I feel like people will say that you change when they feel a state of like you're leaving them. For example, if you're an addict and you hang around addicts and all y'all do is whatever y'all doing to have y'all addicted to something. When a person wants to get out of that world, a lot of the reasons, like if you were a person they could talk to or whatever, now they got to talk to themselves. So they'll give you reasons. They'll try their best to bring you back into that world because they don't want to be alone. Misery loves company, right? They don't want to be alone by themselves in their addiction. Some people do, but at the same time, that's an internal struggle that they have. Like they don't want to leave the comfort of the substance if it's not another person involved, right? But in a crowd, in a culture, and in a society where people gather around certain causes and they're together in these causes, they don't want you to leave them for selfish reasons, for a lot of selfish reasons. Like a lot of people are selfish and they don't want people to outgrow them. Like it's been said, sometimes you have to leave your home state or leave where you are in order to be successful because everybody you've ever known is here and home if you weren't like an army kid to travel, right? So you have to leave to get notoriety somewhere else so people can't hang your childhood over your head. And this is another reason that sometimes you have to get out of your environment to build a new persona of who you really grow to be, not who people just see you as. If you were an addict and you grew out of that to become successful, people that have known you in certain circumstances will come to you and be like, oh, you think you better than us now, or you think you this, you think you that. That's a lot of times that, so there's nothing wrong with change. And I love this line because it just talks about success and how basically how lonely the trip could be if you allow it to be that lonely. Like there are people that you have to, like if you go from one level to the next, you have to surround yourself with that community so it'll protect you from the voices and the murmurs of the level you just left to get to where you want to be ultimately. And some people will grow with you and some people can't go with you because as you ascend to higher levels, it just wasn't meant to be. There was an anime series called it sucked me in, man. One of my friends put me onto it. I think it's called Sword Art Online, right? Where these people got stuck in the game and there was 100 worlds stacked on each other like a building with 100 levels, but each level was a world, right? So in order to win this game, you had to go to the 100th level. So as people, everybody started off on the first level, and then you get to go up and ascend and go to other levels. And you'll see them as they progress through the levels. They'll be on world 52, 53, 65. But it was a mission where they had to go back down to the first level, and there were people still on the first level, like never even tried, just adapted to the fact that they was going to be there. They didn't even try. They was still on the first level, and that always like struck a chord in me. And I was like, wow, with all this opportunity, would people still be on the first level? And they had to go to these levels to get out of the game and not die. Like, you have to see it. It's crazy. But my whole point is, like, people would get mad at these people. Oh, you come from level 53. Oh, you think you better than us? Bro, we going on levels, bro. Like, I can't stay on level 1. I'm trying to do something before we expire. You know what I'm saying? We all got a game clock, shot clock. The clock is running out. It's running down for sure. You know what I'm saying? Is it your day? I don't know. Is it mine? I don't know. But the fact that people don't live urgently and change accordingly. Like, if you have kids, I've seen guys in the streets that just stopped being in the streets because they had kids. Life circumstances, life events, being intentional with what you're doing. Like, all of these changes have to happen, and there's 4 reasons that they say people change. I got this from one of my mentors. He says people either heard enough that they have to, they see enough that they are inspired to, they learn enough that they want to, and they receive enough that they're able to. Yeah. It's like you might want to give, but as you get, now you're able to give. You learn enough that you want to. It's like, when you know better, you do better. That's that. You see enough that you're inspired to. You see people doing the thing that you want to do, and you like, all right, I done passed like 15 videos of people starting Etsy stores and drop shipping. I'm gonna start it, and you heard enough that you have to. Seeing your family hurt over your decisions, seeing your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend hurt over some of the decisions you make, your family. Like, another one of my mentors said, he was a addict, a drug addict for a long time. And, he just kept being tired of having his mom see him in the hospital, and just crushed his heart. So it's like, some things like that will change a person. So it's like, I just want to shed light on the fact that this whole change thing, is really an attribute of the person that says it. It shows more about the person that's saying it than the person that's being said to. Because, like I said, you don't want to be left behind. You don't feel good enough, and you want people to join your misery as company. But change is progressive. It might not feel progressive because, we're creatures of habit. Once we start something, we want to continue to do that. Like in my company, they've changed a few things that, I've seen people go off about. You see the protests happening, like before they built Walmarts in DC. People was up in arms, yada, 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 protesting. You don't see none of that now. Like, they've adapted to the change. And it's a story, real quick before I go. It's a story of a father that taught his son a lesson. And the father was a chef at this restaurant. And one day the father and the son, everybody was at home, and the son was just going over how life wasn't fair, and one problem after the next, and how life was this, life was that. And, just crushed by, whatever happened. So the father was like, yo, just come meet me at my job tomorrow. He worked at a restaurant. And, I got something to show you. So the next day comes, the son leaves school, meets his father at the restaurant. The host takes the son back to the kitchen. The son was like, oh, dang, okay. I don't know what's going on. So the father, he's waiting there with 3 pots of boiling water. In one pot, he puts carrots. In one pot, he puts eggs. And in the other pot, he puts coffee beans. And he lets it sit for about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, while they just catching up with the day. How was your day, son? Everything like that, yada yada. So you know after the time passed, he asked his son. He says, um you know he takes the carrots out. He said, what do these look like? He was like, they look like carrots. Takes the eggs out, said, what do these look like? And just left the coffee in the third pot. So he was saying, his illustration was, he said, son, you see these carrots? They may look the same. They were rigid before I put them in, but the boiling water turned them soft. And now I can mush this with a spoon, fork, spoon, whatever. It's a soft, paste. Now, he took the eggs out, put it on the plate. He said, son, what do these look like? He said, they look like eggs. Then he cracked the egg, hard boiled egg. It caused the inside to become hardened. So his point was, life happens. Life is the boiling water, and either you can be the carrot, that gets softened by life, or you can be the boiled egg that get hardened by life on the inside. You may look the same, but these things happen on the inside because of your environment. But the third pot of coffee beans, he said, what do you see here? He said, it's just coffee. Right. Well, the only thing about this, the coffee beans wasn't affected by the boiling water, but instead the coffee beans affected and changed the boiling water. Whereas though the boiling water changed the carrot, it changed the egg, the coffee beans changed the water. So are you going to be a person that changes your environment and thrive, or will you be changed by your environment?